Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I welcome you all to the lecture number 13 for the course of microprocessor theory and interfacing. My name is Engineer Jafar Ali and I am an instructor for this course. This is our lecture number 13 and the topic of today's discussion will be digital to analog converter interfacing with a microprocessor. So this is the second part of the same topic, because you know that in the last lecture number 12, we discussed an IC that is basically about the interfacing of this DAC with a microprocessor, and the DAC IC that we learned was in the previous lecture was DAC 808. You know that we discussed that there are three ICs that is there. The first one is basically having 8 inputs, and let's see, the second one was with the 12 inputs. The pins were there, 12 input pins were there, and the third one was with the 16 input pins. These three were the main ICs that we discussed in the last lecture, and we also learned that the IC with the 8 input gives us the output of 2 power 8, that means 256 discrete outputs. Similarly, the IC with 12 input gave us the output of 2 power 12, that was around 4096 discrete outputs of currents or voltages. Similarly, there was another IC that was with 16 pin inputs. The total number of outputs for that IC was 2 power 16, or it is also, you can call it 65,536. So these were three ICs that we discussed in the last lecture, and you also know that having a large number of input pins also correspond to various outputs, many outputs. So if anyone wants to have 8 outputs, 8 inputs pin, and he can have up to 256 discrete outputs, so he can use this IC. So what is the need for this lecture that we are also doing? So in this lecture we are going towards another IC that is known as 7523. You can also learn it. So this is another IC, AD 7523. So the purpose of reading or learning this about this IC is basically it has the same phenomena and it has the same operation, but instead of having 3 different ICs, you can use same IC for different purposes. So you cannot use 12 input in this IC, and similarly you cannot use 16 inputs in this IC. So if you want to use 16 input pins, you will have to use this IC. So with the change of your input and output, you have to change your IC, but this is not the case in this type of IC, that is AT7523. This IC provides you a variety of range with the same IC, so you do not have to change any IC. If your input and output pins are changed, you say that your inputs are now increased, so you do not have to change any of you do not have to change your IC. You just have to change the values of provided to that IC. Let's start with the description of this AD 7523. So I've told you that instead of using different ICs in different scenarios, you can use the same IC. This was the first advantage of this IC. Similarly, this also cost less instead of going for the these ICs. These ICs are not that much cheap because of the availability. The reason because they are not available in the market is the reason why we are going towards this IC, that is AT7523. This IC is mostly available, that is why it is, and it also provides you a lot of range. That is the main reason that primary objective is now has been achieved. So you can see that this has the most importance over the previous IC. So this is all the reasons that why we are going to learn about 7523, and this is not the only IC. I have uploaded some notes along with this lecture on the portal. So you can visit the portal. You will have you will see that there are many more ICs that are working on the same principle, but the only difference will be about their input and output. And using different techniques on input and output, you can have many more IDs. You can use the nodes as a reference. I have also provided it. So you will be understanding that how varying these inputs and varying these reference values can change your number of outputs. For example, let's compare this IC with the previous IC, that was 808. So the previous IC was working on 8 pins, and with the same you can say with the power range was, power supply was same. But this IC is providing you a power range. Actually, this is the range from where you can operate as input. So your input can vary from plus 5 volt to plus 15 volt. So varying accordingly your input and output, you can provide the power input. So this is the first major difference in 808 and 7523. The next difference in which you will be seeing that the reference value. So the reference value in the previous ID was previous IC was only 1. If you remember the previous IC 808, the reference value was normally taken around 2 milliampere. So this was only a fixed value, but instead of going to a fixed value, now you can vary this value, and it can vary from minus 10 volt to plus 10 volt. So you see you have 20 values. You know that your output depends upon two things. Your output depends upon two things: your reference value and your input. So this is the formula that in the previous lecture you have seen already. So if let's say both of the outputs are same in the 808 and in the 7523, let's say the output input has been kept same. So you can see with the same input, 808 having a singular reference value, it can provide you, let's say the inputs was kept let's say 8. So the output was 2 power 8 output pins, and the reference value was 1. So this was the total number of outputs for having a same reference value with a constant number of inputs, that was 8. Now in 7523 you can see that if you keep this input constant 2 power 8, but now you can see that the reference value you can provide to this IC is now the range of almost 20, excluding 0, because 0 multiplied by anything gives you 0. So excluding 0 you can have 20 cross. So you see the output ranges has been now increased almost 20 times. So you see the output is now being increased. So this is the best way to understand this scenario, that why we are going towards this 7523. Similarly, if you vary your inputs, you know that the output voltage will be varying across minus 10 volt to plus 10 volt when all the inputs are kept high. You know that high state means all ones. So if you keep your input all ones, let's say, so the output state will vary same as the reference value, because 1 multiplied by anything gives the same value that was multiplied with the 1. So keeping that in mind, let's talk about how this process or operation occurs, in what are the small differences between this kind of architecture of this IC and the previous IC that we learned. You know, every IC basically has a different operations, but the phenomena behind that remains the same. So small differences make a large small differences in the input can make a lot differences at the output. That is only the case over here. So I am not going to describe all of the ICs, because it is not humanly possible to describe all of the ICs, and for that I have provided you the notes, and do not expect from you also to learn all about the ICs, but these are the major ones which I am telling you right now. So keeping this mind in mind, you can learn this ICs regarding your course point of view. But if you want to learn more, and if you want to make some project, there are a lot of ICs that are easily available in the market as well, and these ICs, the description of these ICs also are listed in your portal as well, so you can consult the portal for the detailed notes actually. Similarly, let's talk about the operation actually. Usually a Zener diode is connected between the output 1 and output 2. So let's see the description of this IC. First thing, let's discuss this. So you can see that these are your input pins that I've told you about, that it varies from +5 to +15. So you see that it is actually a range. It does not mean that you have always have to apply this 15 volts. It is giving you a range. You can apply +5 volts up to 15 volts. But now in this example, this is actually example in which it asks us to provide a range of you can say 10 to 5 to 10. So that is why we have not written 15 over it, but it can go up to 15. It can go up to 15. This is the reference value, and you know that the reference value has also a range of -10 volts to +10 volts. So it has also a range, and you see that this reference value is being multiplied with the output of the pins. But these output of the pins is not directly multiplied with the reference value. It is multiplied with the reference value, but there are some circuitry involved. The first one is Zener diode. So Zener diodes, you know that Zener diodes is a kind of diodes which allows the conduction in the reverse bias as well. And why do we need this Zener diode over here is because you know that this is operational amplifier. This is nothing but your op-amp, and we have also discussed op-amp in the second semester for your course of electronics actually. So I hope that you have knowledge in mind. But if you do not have that knowledge, please go to portal and find the discussion about op-amp. I've also provided the discussion of op-amp in the portal. These are some brief notes about 3 to 4 slides, just to clear your idea that how does this operational amplifier actually operates. So you will be knowing that this operational amplifier has two types. The first one is inverting, and the second one will be non-inverting. And the inverting basically means that the output and input will be in the out of phase form, and non-inverting means the input and output will be in the same phase actually. This will be phase shift, and there will be no phase shift. In non-inverting means no phase shift. And this actually depends on the criteria. If you want to not to use this Zener, you can also do that. But mostly people use, because depending upon the pins, you actually control the type of the op-amp and which you want to work upon, and based on this op-amp you will get an output, and that output will be then multiplied with the reference value, and this will give you a proper output voltage. This will be your actual output. This is the pins output. The pins output will be multiplied with the reference value, and this will be your actual output. So this will be your actual output. Let's go back. To save the you know that the Zener is now connected between the output 1 to save the negative, to save the DAC converter from the negative transients. An operational amplifier is also used over here as a current to voltage converter at the output of this AD to convert the current output of AD to a proportional voltage output, and that will be multiplied with the reference value is in the output voltage. It also offers additional drive capability to the direct output, external feedback resistor. You can also add a pull-up resistor, and the purpose of pull-up resistors, why do we need it, why do we use it, is also discussed in the second semester of your course of same electronics, because you know that it is not possible for anyone to learn all of these things in a single course. So that is why your program is divided in such a way that you learn things gradually and step by step. So pull-up resistors are there to control the working or operation of different components, or specifically ICs and transistors. And in transistors, actually, we learned about the pull-up resistors, that how you can use transistors as pull-up resistors and capacitors as a coupling capacitors. So keeping that in mind, it will provide you a good control over the IC or a device. One may not connect external feedback, so it is not also compulsory. It depends on the gain if you require or not. So mostly in ICs, you want to increase the value or the amplitude because of the losses that has already occurred during the process in the IC. You know about the thermal noise, thermal or electronic noise. Electronic noise is the thing that basically is initiated or created when electrons flow in the circuit. So there is a small heat dissipation across the circuit, and slight of a signal is basically lost. So if you want to gain back that signal, you can also add gain, and for that you need to have a feedback resistor. But if you do not if you have a good IC, you will be not needing this external feedback resistor, so there will be no gain. Let's talk about example. In this example, it has asked us to interface this DAC AD7523 with the AT86 CPU running at 8 MHz, and we have to write the assembly language program to generate a sawtooth waveform of a period of 1 milliseconds with a maximum of 5 volt. So you already know about this DAC 7523, you know about this 8086, you know about the ALP as well, you do not know about the sawtooth. So sawtooth is basically a kind of waveform. This is basically this kind of waveform. You know that there is a square waveform, there is a rectangular waveform, this is a sinusoidal waveform, but this is not a rectangular, not a triangle. This is not a perfect triangle, because you know that perfect triangle means this kind of diagram. But this is not a triangle, this is basically a sawtooth wave. This is a kind of tooth. This is a sawtooth wave. So we have to generate this waveform using this DAC, and with the assembly of this interfacing of this with the AT86 by using a assembly language program. So let's start the process of conversion, and let's go with the solution. So in the figure in the next slide shows that the interfacing of AD7523, this is not 745, this is 7523, with the AT86 using 8255. You already know about 8255. We are learning this 8255 from since lecture 10. So this is the third lecture actually regarding the same topic. We will be using this 8255, and this program on the next slide will be giving you a ALP to generate a sawtooth waveform using this circuit. So this is the code, and I hope that you have now able to understand the code, because it is now being let's say more than 10 lectures we are dealing with the ALP coding, and now I assume that you are now and in the paper as well you have attempted this question in a very good manner. So I hope that it will not be difficult for you to understand this small code. This codes basically start from here segment, and in the first line of the code you see that we have to make all ports as output. The port A is basically converted into the output, and that is now shifted to the CW. And then we have to give the RAM function or RAM input to that AL that is now declared as output in the upper slide. So this is starts the looping. This is your labels again and back, and this is called when this jump, if bit is not equal to 0, you have to jump back to this. So this is a first loop, this is your inner loop, or you say nested loop, and the second loop is basically here again. This is now your second loop. So there are two loops there that are involved, and when these two loops have done their processing, it will end the code. And because it has asked you to generate the sawtooth, this is a periodic basically function, and you know that periodic means a repeat after equal interval of time. So once the simulation is done one time, this code has been run one time, these two loops as well. So one tooth will be generated, and to keep going on, we have to run this loop again and again, so it will go back to start from here. So this will continue, and this will be the output of this code actually. So you can also test this code by running it into Kyle or any software that you want to. So this is now your interfacing of this IC. Let's discuss about brief about this diagram. So this is your 8255, and you know that you have a chip select, and you also know that how can you use this CS with the help of this microprocessor 8 of 8086. So with the help of this microprocessor of 8086, you can control this CS, and according to the CS, that is chip select, this 8255 will be working as you control this CS. And if you have not any idea about this topic, I have done a brief and complete lecture regarding this topic only in lecture number 10 actually. So you can go and check it out if you have confusions that how you can control the CS of 8255 with the microprocessor of 8086. And if you control the CS, you are now controlling 8255, and it will be giving you an output of 8 bits. You can see that from pin 0 to pin number 7, port A, you will be now controlling, and this will be your least significant bit, and this will be your most significant bit. It will be going into the pins from 4 to 11 at this 7523. And this is not the only IC, my dear students. There are many more ICs, and every IC have different pin diagrams, and I have tried to provide you the ICs that are mostly used and that are mostly basically available on the market in the market. So go and check out the portal to know about more of the ICs. I have also discussed the input ports that are there, and this is the reference port that has already been discussed, and these are your output ports. These are the major pins actually which I have provided to you, and this is your ground pin number 3. So the pin number 3 is being grounded. The pin number 14 and 15 is there for the input from the power supply. 4 to 11 is there for the input from the output of 8255. You see that how efficiently we have interfaced this 807523 with the 8255, and that with the 86 microprocessor, and it will be giving you the output over here. Now let's talk about the output. So in the above diagram, you saw that port A was initialized as output port. So you can see that this is port A as output. So in the code, you see that we have initiated the port A as output. So this is all being discussed for sending the digital data as an input to the DAC. So this will be the output of 8255, but this output will be actually the input for the DAC. So see that this is the same. This output will be the input for the DAC. In the code, you can see that this output will be input of the DAC. The ramp starts from 0 volt, and hence AL starts with the 00H. To increment the ramp, we have to keep going on until unless it comes to 0. You see here we have to go for the simulation unless and until it come back to this 0. This is the 0 point. So we have to increment that ramp, and then we have to wait for the time that it comes to 0. And after the sawtooth wave starts again from 0, that is for the second loop from their side. The procedure is repeated again and again. The ramp period is given by the program is precisely 1.00625. And how do we have to calculate? So you do not have to calculate it. It is basically run on a computer, and it provide you the average value, the ramp, the RMS value, the mean value, the time period. So by using the same tool, you will be seeing in the description box of tool, it provides you all of the details of that function, of that output that you have just created. So from that you will be seeing that the output will be given to you, that is 1.00625 millisecond, and the RMS value will be given to you of 5 volts. So it will be providing you all of the details. And the only thing that you have to make sure, and if you want to confirm these values, is basically to run it. If you run it, you will be seeing this time period over here of 1 millisecond. That is approximately 1 millisecond, because you know that it was required to delay of 1 millisecond for the time loop. This is the reason. There is a small delay. The ramp slope can be controlled by calling a controllable delay after the output instruction. So you can also control this ramp time period by, or a ramp slope, if you use a delay function over here as well. So if you put a delay function over, let's say here, if you put a delay function, it will be delay, or you can also put a delay function over here. So this will be providing you a small delay as well. This was all about the lecture. I hope that you have learned quite a lot about the IC, and I repeat again, to learn about more ICs, you have to go on the portal and check out all the details that this is the file basically of 40 pages, and in these 40 pages there are about 10 different ICs that I have chosen for you, that is easily available in the market and mostly used actually. So you will be having a clear idea. This is just for a learning purpose, and for the exam purpose, these two ICs will be there for your exam. One was DAC 808, and the second one is 7523. But this is not the only ICs. There are many more ICs in DAC, so that you will be having a great idea about overall perception of this process of conversion, and how you can interface this DAC converter with the 8086 microprocessors. Not only 8086, but you can also use these IC with the 8088, 8085 and different other processors if you want to do that also. So this was all about today's class. I hope that you will be having some questions in your mind or any confusion. So for that, I will highly recommend to attend the class and ask me that questions face to face. And if you're not able to attend the class because of any reason, you can also reach me at my email address. I have provided my email address at the bottom of every right of every slide. So you will be having you can reach me over here, and you can ask me a question directly. I will try to respond as soon as possible, and if you have any questions, you can ask me in the class as well. So I hope that you have learned a lot. I'll see you in the class, inshallah. Also bring some good questions, because you know that for every good question you will be getting a +1 bonus as well. That's all for today. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.